There are just times when I don't feel like I'm enough. My name is Casey Berard, and my background is in traditional Chinese medicine, Reiki, and yoga. And I am trying to bring inspired wisdom to feisty souls who are stuck courageously on the path of life. Releasing shame is a practice that I come to over and over and over again. I would guess that I probably recognize that I feel shame a minimum of 5, probably sometimes 100 times a day. Shame is prevalent, right? We're not enough, whether it's marketing, media, our family, our friends, who knows, nature, someone walking past us with a body we want, or a car we want, or a family we want. It'll trigger that inner feeling that we're not enough. And that is part of being human. It's part of having a multi-level brain. It's part of having, I always talk about my reptilian brain, my mammalian brain, and then this frontal cortex. And this is the goal of this worksheet, is to take us out of the lower functioning brains, which are great if we want to have sex or eat or just get shit done. But if we want to actually feel good while we're doing it, we really need to sit in our higher functioning, in the frontal part of our brain. So I have created this beautiful PDF download. It's excellent for journal writing, for bringing out with a friend, or sharing with someone you trust intimately. Okay, and I want to say that actually as a disclaimer. Do not share your shame stories ever, or even if it's halfway out of your mouth and you realize you're sharing it with someone who will not offer you empathy, compassion, or simply hold space for you, get out, okay? Because it's just going to pile on more shame. And we don't want shame to turn into a shit show, because that is no fun, okay? So really think about that. I often have a list of, I'm fortunate to have many good friends, but I have 2 who I know I can call at any moment. And then I have a pile of other ones that I know I can call also and say, I don't believe any of this, but I need to get this pile of shame lies out of my mouth, and can you listen to me? And if I can't get a hold of one of them, a lot of them know that I will call their answering machine and leave my shame stories on their answering machines. But I always give the precursor. Hi, it's Casey calling. I couldn't get a hold of anyone. I'm going to leave a shame story on your answering machine, or you don't have to listen to this. Stop now and erase it if you want to, but I just needed to hear it out loud. Okay? Those are probably my top, let's call them 3 strategies, is to share your shame story out loud with someone you trust. If you cannot do it with them in person, do it on the answering machine. If you cannot do it on the answering machine, journal write. Get it out of your brain so it's out of the loop, okay? So that's the first thing I want you to do. I want you to acknowledge that shame is about not being good enough at the core. It's raw and it can be pervasive. And it's going to eat you from the inside out if you don't do something about it. So, what can we do about it? Like I said, we can write it out, or we can talk it out with a trusted friend, or on their answering machine, or with a therapist or coach. Get those stories out. We can also recognize that shame is not the truth. And that's actually usually what happens when I almost picture the shame coming out of my mouth like a black cloud. And when it comes out, I go, oh, like, who was thinking that? And my brain just miraculously recognizes that it's not me thinking it. It's this pile of lies and darkness. And over the years, as I've become braver and more courageous and fallen and chosen to become more resilient, I've learned that it is worth feeling the fear about sharing this and sharing it with the right people, that it will make a difference and that it will feel better. So that's a huge acknowledgement, is to know that you need a shame buddy, someone you can trust, who knows you are good to the core, and they will bring a flashlight or like a shame bucket to catch all that shame. Because you'll see their faces. The moment you start talking, they'll look at you like a deer in headlights because they're like, what? Why is Casey saying all this crap? And the moment you see that reflected in their face, it's much easier for you to go, oh yeah, it's crap. Okay, crap. Interesting. So then when we tell these stories, it's almost like it lets them out and the wind carries them away. And that's the beauty of this. And it can happen in 10 seconds. Sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes one of my birth trauma stories, I told it for 2.5 years to any trusted being that would listen. And it took that long to really get through the piles and piles and piles of shame that I had felt before I got to the core of what was going on and I found me again. Some of the shame stories I've had have only taken 10 seconds to release. Literally, once I say it, I know, I'm like, oh, that's a lie. Okay, so give yourself a spectrum of, I've also worked with people where it's taken 10 years. So let's say between 10 seconds and 10 years to get rid of your shame stories, depending on how deep and entrenched. And shame is insidious. It will like trick you and make you think that it's you. And it will start to sound like you. Like that's one of the tricks in our brain, is that every single story we tell, whether it's someone else's truth or our truth, is our voice in our head. And that's one of the tricks. So that's why I want you to say it out loud, so you can hear that it's not your voice, and you'll hear it as you say it. So this is the good part. The moment you say it, you'll hear the lie, and then I want you to acknowledge that that is not the truth, that you are enough, that you are good. And you can say it over and over, I am enough. You can transform it into other affirmations or appreciations of yourself if you want to. You can journal write, because this is the next layer, is retelling a new story about how you can change that shame and that challenge and become courageous as you move forward without this story. This worksheet really helps you get to the core of that. And if you are afraid of bringing this to a friend, bring the worksheet with you, and then the person at least has some structure. If your shame is really big, I highly, highly recommend a counselor, a coach, a therapist, someone, it might be a minister or a priest, someone who's really trained in recognizing these lies and untruths for you, okay? I really send you so much compassionate love and understanding as you walk on this path. Know you are human and you are not alone, that feisty souls feel shame deeply and to the core, and that it is worth overcoming it and letting go of the stories. I wish you joy and blessings on your path, and I hope you stop suffering and live your life with these practices.